Hey guys, welcome to Preacher's Kid. This is episode 7, Balancing the Call. If you are watching right now, I need you to like, comment, subscribe. Listen, get the word out that Preacher's Kid is live right now. And today I have an amazing guest with me. He's not just my pastor, but he is my spiritual father. Will you help me welcome Matthew McKie to Preacher's Kid? Put those hands together for him.
Son, I am excited. I'm super excited to be here with you.
We are excited to have you on Preacher's Kid. A lot of people don't know, but as you guys have already heard my story and you know what healing has looked like for me, this is the person who has stepped up as a father figure in my life and has been such an amazing support to me. And I just honor you and I thank you for all that you've been doing and how you've been helping me. But enough of that. Let's get straight into this week's episode. We are on Balancing the Call. Tell me, before you were a pastor, before you were this amazing preacher and, you know, all things that come with ministry, who is and was Matthew McKie?
Wow, that's a very profound question, and many people don't ask that question at all. But really, I was just, and I still think of myself as a simple person, but I was just a simple young man that I loved sports. I love sports, specifically basketball, and that was something that just always caught my attention. I was always inquisitive, so I was always the type of person that I asked questions. I was an investigator. I was also very much a daredevil kind of person, so I love roller coasters, bungee jumping, things like that. So I was that kind of kid. So I would take risks. I would do a lot of fun stuff, exciting stuff, but I was always inquisitive. I was always a person that was just trying to have fun and just live life, be intentional. And but sports was the thing. Sports, and I loved playing the drums. So sports and music was the things that had me captured as a kid.
To this day, I still have not seen you play the drums.
Oh, trust me.
You spoke about being a daredevil, but I did ask you if you wanted to go snowboarding, and you said no. So I don't know about that daredevil thing.
Well, the problem is I used to work at a hospital for special surgery, where most of the patients were there, broken hips, broken limbs, all different types of surgeries because of snowboarding accidents, skiing.
All right, well, I'll give you a little grace in there.
Yeah.
So what was the time that you realized you were, that is who you were and who, you know, still are, but when did you realize that you were called to ministry?
I tell you, you know, it was very weird, but one of the things I noted, and I'm gonna start with the one that's not a specific event per se, but I noted as I was around 8 years old. I was around 8 years old, and I would be in a church service because, you know, again, also a preacher's kid, which is beautiful because being on this podcast, it just is like a full circle moment, and that's why I think what you're doing is so powerful and it's so necessary. But I'm a PK as well, and grew up in church, and I had no choice. I was always in church, but I would note just weirdnesses about myself. All the other children would be in the fellowship hall or in the basement of the church at the time, playing, trying to hide from the adults while the preacher was preaching. And because that was the time of the service and everyone was like, it's boring, it's too boring, we want to have fun. So they would sneak out to the fellowship hall or down to the basement to just chill, relax, have fun. And I just never wanted to join them. So I would sit in the service and I didn't really have a clue about what the preacher was preaching about because I didn't know about Moses, Abraham, or whoever else they were talking about. But I would find I had an interest in what they were saying. So I would sit there in the congregation and I would almost be like just staring at them as they would articulate, as they would present whatever it is they were talking about. And I always found that weird about myself. And the other children thought that was kind of weird with me as well. So they would be like, McKie, what are you doing? Come, let's go have fun. And I'm like, no, I want to stay and listen. And that was at 8. So I always knew that. I was like, there's something different about me.
Yeah.
that's kind of how that started to play out. And then the specific time was when I definitely had a visitation from the Lord. And in that visitation, I had both a vision and a dream, specific that specified the fact that he was calling me to preach the gospel. And even then, I was like, whoa, but I didn't really know the fullness of what that meant.
Right.
But I knew that I had an encounter with the Lord. And then I used to always, at a young age, I would see spirits, I would see demons, and I never talked about it. I never talked about it because I thought that people would find me weird. And there was just not I am a unique person. I'm a unique vessel. But I just would say that I used to have those really, really weird and awkward encounters, and I never had language for it.
Yeah.
And I thought that me saying it or talking about it would kind of come with some level of backlash or people looking at me funny. And I was always a person, that was one of my early struggles. I was always very concerned about how I was perceived.
Right.
And that was something that I struggled with early as well.
Wow. You know, something that's so funny is because I think as a preacher's kid, I'm the only one that's having this issue where when I was growing up, I did not like church because I was in a previous episode with Cheyenne Wisdom. Shout out to Cheyenne in the back, our editor. She loved church too. As you were saying, like you didn't really know what was going on, but you just felt like you needed to be there. She was kind of the same way, and I'm like, I was always that preacher's kid. I was in the basement. I wanted to have fun, and that's exactly what I was doing.
Right.
Now, you spoke about being a preacher's kid, which yes, you are. Going off topic a little, how was it as a preacher's kid watching, your parents balance the call?
It was tough. It was difficult on many levels. I would say the biggest thing that you definitely have to deal with and you have to confront is when you see the time investment that your parents make doing ministry at church, at every service, going to this church, that church, and another church, and then sometimes you do feel neglected. You do feel that neglect and that fallout, that they're spending more time there than even getting to know you as their child. That was a challenge. Another challenge was making sense of sometimes what I would see as inconsistencies, where I would see one thing play out in our personal lives or our natural lives, and then I'm like, but wait, but aren't they supposed to be leaders in the church? And so I had to get to a place of understanding that there's real life that goes on, even outside of ministry, that nobody can avoid. And so sometimes you have to kind of reconcile putting your parents on a pedestal as spiritual leaders and then still knowing them as people. And that was very difficult for me to navigate, to just figure out that, I have to give them space and grace to be normal people as well. But I felt that that was a challenge because I struggled with feeling natural in the space of what people expected of us, if that makes sense. And so the challenge really rested there, where it was like, I always felt like we were watched, that we were held to a standard, and obviously, it comes with the territory. But as a kid, I didn't know how to reconcile that. I didn't know how to really put any language to that, and even make peace to bring those two things together. So for me, it was always this weird space of, okay, I can't really be myself because somebody's watching. People are watching. And I felt like the pressures of that, I saw my parents also have to carry that burden. And that was also very difficult also to watch.
That is definitely a heavy burden that we both know too well, that pastors have to carry. Now you are a pastor, and you now you have kids that are now basically preachers' kids. what are some of the mistakes that, you know, you saw your parents make that you said, I won't make in my, you know, in my, with my children?
I could start off with my father, because at first, early on, we did not have a great relationship at all.
Yeah.
He was a great pastor, loved the work of pastoring, was deep in the word, great preacher, great orator, a man of very, very, very profound verbiage. He used to read the dictionary. So he was a pastor, like he was fully into it and entrenched in it. But as a father, I could not connect with him as a son. Yeah. And so that part is something that I've always said, even though I know the call of God on my life to pastor, I never want my children to ever feel estranged from me as a father. I never want them to feel like they can't come to me as a father, that they can't see the different sides of their father versus the pastor that their father also is, and that role that I have to play. So I always said to myself, I want my children to have a relationship with their dad, not having to always subjugate that to just knowing their dad as pastor. Yeah. I want them to know that I happen to be called to pastor, but I want them to see me as their father first, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. As you were saying that, like, how do you tell the difference from pastor and, like, how do you switch hats in moments when, all right, you might be in ministry, and you know you just preached, and now you're getting ready to leave, but how do you switch the hat to not be, you know, pastor when you're home? I think a lot of times, just for maybe a pastor watching or a preacher's kid who is in the same place where their father is a pastor, their mom is a pastor, and they're, you know, feeling that pull. What is it that what advice do you have to that?
I would say that that's been probably one of my greatest challenges, balancing pastoring, my love for pastoring, my love for the call, passion for the call, with the actual aspects of knowing what hat is necessary at what time. Yeah. I think that when it comes to the balancing of life and the balancing of the different hats that I wear, that was one of the early challenges that I faced to really respond to your question. And so I found great difficulty in doing that at first, where balancing for me was saying yes to everything in ministry. Yeah. I felt like that was balance. Balance for me, if I was to define it, I'm like, well, I said yes to the call, and I said yes to Jesus, and you know, he called me to do this, and so that means that I gotta be everywhere. Right. That means that I have to answer to every call and every assignment, and that was terribly off, terribly wrong. And one thing I would say is that I've learned over the years, thank God I've learned and matured to understand that, number one, your real ministry starts first at home with the family. And if your family doesn't feel connected to you as a father and as your wife as a husband, then you've already failed even to stand as a pastor, because God is a God of family. Everything with God starts with the family construct first, and then it branches from there. So that foundation has to be strong. My advice to anyone pastoring and having to balance life with their children and their wife is major at home first. Major in the family construct first, because being a good father and being a good husband also teaches you skills as a pastor. It teaches you, it gives you perspective. It gives you just a balanced approach in dealing with God's sheep, God's people. So oftentimes, to be honest, I would say if you're a bad father and a bad husband, you would probably end up being a bad pastor. Because I do believe that those elements, those hats, those dynamics that you learn in the submission and in the responsibility and the accountability that comes with being a father and a husband is very much at play being a pastor.
Would you say that, so is it safe to say that the call of being a pastor and a father are not equal?
I would say that is a safe thing to say, because I would say that there is a distinction between the two. Though there are parts of both areas that does kind of flow into one another, I do believe that there is a distinction. And for example, if you have a child that gets caught in a mess and they end up making probably the biggest mistake of their life, right? You have to resist the urge. You have to resist the urge to approach them in the immediacy of their crisis as a pastor, from a pastor's lens. Because the pastor at times can come off, if you're not careful, even though we're called to shepherd and we're called to have that kind of empathy and compassion, we can start preaching at a situation that doesn't require us to preach. So we're preaching to our daughter, our sons, about the wrong that they did when they didn't really need you to preach at them. They needed you to connect with them from the father's angle and hear them out as your children. You know, they're our children. That's my daughter, that's my son in trouble. How would a father respond to the crisis of their child? A pastor's response is different, because I'm coming with a word, I'm coming with correction, you know, I'm coming with the scripture, you know, this scripture, whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, and I'm coming with all of that, you know, scriptural stuff, and it has a place, and it has a place, and it has a purpose, but that might not be what they need at that time. What they might need is just a father that will listen and that will hug them and let them know it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And I had to learn that. I had to learn that.
That's kind of like my next question is, because how do you handle that? Because I know we've spoken about this before, when it's like you know, you kind of just want to be solution oriented and your family is just not there, and it's like you want to be like, all right, come out of this, come on, you know, pray, do something, you know, but they're just not there. How do you connect emotionally when it's like in your head you already know the solution? How do you not be overbearing with be like, do this, do that, do this, do that, stop crying, do this, do that? You know, how did you learn how to, you know, kind of at home lead with your heart and lead with what they need in the moment?
Well,
how did you even recognize that?
It took, I'll tell you, that's two great questions, by the way. It took time for me to really figure that out. It took time. I was that father that I was allowing my being a pastor, that call to bleed into all aspects of my life. And then you start to expect everyone to be like you, sound like you, think like you, respond like you, react like you. But that's just not realistic. It's just not realistic. And I had to learn to stop, slow down in terms of my wanting to respond. I think that's one of the things that I had to learn, that as a pastor, I'm always in solution-oriented mode, and I'm always in that mindset of like, okay, how do we get to the answer to the problem? But then I skip the process of dealing with the person that's in the problem, that's going through the process of coming out of whatever problem, dealing with the trauma of the problem, and they needed to be walked through what it is to be in that crisis, and even grieving that situation. I had to learn how to walk them through it and not just try to rush to this is the answer, this is what you should do, you should have gotten it by now, why didn't you just do, you know? And I had to learn that every situation creates and really opens up distinction in such a way that you cannot handle it the same way. So you have to be open-minded to the fact that, number one, that person is not like you. Your child is not like you. Your wife is not like you. They are their own distinct human beings. And that means that you have to be able to hear them out. You got to stop trying to project yourself and your call and your ministry and how you do things on everyone else. And I realized that how I caught it is just over time. I just realized that people stopped coming to me with certain issues because they already knew what they were gonna get. So I'm like, but why didn't that person? Why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
And it's that really, it just woke me up. It was an alarm.
Yeah.
It was a life alarm to let me know you don't realize it in your good intention to try to give advice. You're making people feel disconnected. You're not presenting your human form, your humanity, to make yourself a person that people will want to come to be endearing, and to be a person that people will say, you know what, I'm drawn to you because I know that you can have the experience or the wisdom to give me advice, to give me. But in fact, I was actually, in my effort to help, I was pushing people away because what they got was projection. What they got was me coming at them from a one fixed, one lensed perspective. And they were like, I don't need that right now. That woke me up. That let me realize I'm projecting the pastor on everybody. And sometimes what they need is a human being, a person that can just relate to them and connect with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. We started talking about, wife and kids. Talk to us about a season where there was neglect there. How did you work through that?
I would say, and you mean neglect from my end
Yes.
too. Well, I would say that in my first marriage, because those that know me, they already know. Those that don't know me, now you know. I'm a divorcee. I've been married before. I had my eldest daughter, Samara, with my first wife. And I believe personally, I'm one of those people that I have always said, I look at my angle of what I failed in that marriage. And one of the things that I believe that I really did not do a great job of in that marriage is the balance between ministry and home. Balance for me was, I gotta say yes to every call. Because I didn't feel like I was fulfilling something if I had to say no. I felt like I was letting someone down if I said no. So I felt that kind of urge, and it was a terrible place of imbalance, but though I thought it was balance, if that makes sense. And so when I started to realize how that marriage was unraveling, even though it was multi-layered, it was more than just that, but that was something that I had to own. And I had to say, you really dropped the ball here, you failed here. I had to look at myself and realize that there are things that I need to work on in me. So once that marriage dissolved and that divorce and everything went through, I went on a journey of soul searching, a journey of personal development, dealing with myself as a man, as a father, and what would be a person that would look to be a husband again at some point. And so, though those times still can come back in my mind, and I think about what not to do, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself as a person going through that, because I had that penchant to want to be a people pleaser. And in doing that, you end up, if you're trying to be a people pleaser all around in your life, what happens is something is going to get neglected. And I think what ultimately happened is home got neglected. And so I had to get over being a people pleaser, trying to please everybody, and learn my priorities and learn the kingdom principles towards what should sit at number one, number two, number three, in order of priorities, and resetting myself as a man. Forget about being a man of God, as a man first, and as a person. And then from there, that recalibration, that reset allowed me to really find a deeper sense of self. It allowed me to really see God in a deeper way, in a fuller way. And it allowed me to really just get myself into a place where God can officially start to like take me on the journey that he intended, from a place of maturity, a place of open eyes, open ears, and open hearts.
Wow, that's really good. You know, I think a lot of leaders right now are, kind of caught in that people pleasing thing where it's like, I gotta show up, I gotta be there, I gotta do this. You from first marriage to second marriage, what does health look like to you now? Because we have family and then we have pastoral, but you are still a human being as well, where you have to take care of yourself physically, spiritually, mentally. How do you then, all right, so we spoke about pastoral, family, but now self-care. When do you, and then just me knowing you, I know you have a job, and you have a lot of things going on right now. For those who don't know, he's 3 kids. One is basically a toddler now, and he just had a newborn. So his schedule is kind of like packed right now. And you're kind of just in a place where it's just like, I gotta wait it out to see what's going on with my day. How do you make time for you and making sure you're healthy? Because sometimes as leaders, we can just be going and we're not really checking on the inside, on our health. Even like mentally, sometimes we're just taking on other people's problems, but we're never really getting the opportunity to cast those burdens on God. And we're not getting the opportunity to always be poured into as well. We're just always pouring. When do you get your chance to be poured into? What does health look like? You answer those.
I'm gonna answer those, and I'm gonna start a little bit from even prior to, before you asked me the question, because you said something that triggered me in a good way. And I think that reason why a lot of leaders also obviously struggle with the balancing aspect of things is because of expectation. And I think that that's a conversation that has to be had, because while there undoubtedly has to be expectation when it comes to what it is that we're called to do, sometimes there are expectations that I think that we ourselves don't realize that that's not a part of the periphery of the call. And that is, it can become unhealthy expectations. Speaking of health, it can become unhealthy expectations. And if you are a people pleaser, if you're still trying to navigate out of that struggle, then people's expectation on you, whether realistic or not, you will allow it to bend you out of balance and out of health, where you will give so much of yourself to the point where you leave yourself depleted. I would say that for me, health has to start with things like peace, your personal peace. It has to start with things like integrity. Can you look at yourself in the mirror and literally like what you see? Can you look at your own reflection in the mirror and be at peace with what you see, like what you see, and know that who you are, there is consistency, there is alignment, that you're growing, and that it's not at the expense of your peace. That you do have me time where you can kind of recalibrate, you can unwind, or you can engage in things that pours back into you. That's important. I think that it's important because an unhealthy pastor, especially speaking of myself, an unhealthy man is going to be an unhealthy father. An unhealthy man is going to be an unhealthy husband. An unhealthy man is going to be an unhealthy pastor. If I'm not healthy, I'm not going to be healthy in any role that I play or any hat that I wear. So peace, integrity is important. Also, making sure that I really do unto others, that I treat people the way I desire to be treated. I like to talk about that within the construct of honor culture. Honor culture, that honoring people, loving people, and knowing what that is, even as I'm also keeping the main things the main things. That's health. But it's important to really be intentional about mental health, emotional health as a pastor, physical health as well, obviously. But your peace goes a long way. Outside of peace, your mind is going to be all over the place. You won't be able to focus. You won't be able to be the best version of yourself. You know, how can you study the word of the Lord if you don't have peace? How can you be a beacon of light, a beacon of hope, a strength, an encouragement to other souls if you yourself are not at a place of peace? And the Bible talks about the peace that surpasses all understanding. And something is to be said of that. It's a peace that just transcends even what you can logically comprehend, because you'll be going through seasons that you're like, how am I feeling so settled in God and in who I am? That right there is the type of peace that I believe that produces healthy living. I also have to speak to the fact that I truly believe that you have to be intentional, be passionate, be fully entrenched in your calling, but at the same time, you gotta reserve something for you. Because that's the will of God concerning us, you know. You still have a life to live. You still have, again, you have a family life. You have personal things that you enjoy doing.
Exactly right.
You know what I'm saying? That keeps you balanced. So I think that that's all important. I think that's all important. And I don't think that a leader, you know, the word leadership or the word leader, obviously we attach it to the word leadership. And I always say that that word ship is something that really is attached to any vernacular of movement. You know, mentorship, you know, leadership, anything that has to do with growth, development. That word ship is at the end of it. And anytime a ship sinks, it's because of what it allowed to get on the inside.
Wow.
A ship will sail on water, but if the water gets in the ship, that ship is destined to sink. So what happens is that I believe that we have to be the kind of people that understand that health has to be really monitored by what we let in and what we keep out. Because I can sail on what I'm ordained to sail on. I can sail on what I'm meant to sail on effectively, and I can get to the destination effectively if I don't allow what's not supposed to be in. Right. If that makes sense.
That's actually really good. I think we, you know, that happens a lot where, you know, let's just put it like, you know, we're sailors, I guess. You know, we're on the ship, but we become distracted. You know, we can, if we speak about like, you know, peace, the peace of God, we can, you know, speak of it as being a place in God, you're at a place of peace, you know. But it's not that God is not giving peace. It's sometimes that we put that peace down to focus on other things that should not have our attention, or, you know, will pull us out of his presence. How did you learn how to guard your heart, you know, guard your atmosphere? This, you know, this is not important. I can't let this in right now. I have to focus on family. I have to focus on pastoring. Because I think most of the time we let those things in, and then we become full of anxiety, full of mental, you know, illnesses and all these other things, because we're not prioritizing, like you said, we're not making the main things the main things, you know? So how do you push those things out? Because I've been in seasons where it's just like, you know, I want my revenge, you know, I want my way, you know, let's put it in a way where, you know, you're a pastor, so I'm pretty sure you've been in a place where you are disrespected.
Oh, absolutely.
And how was it that you didn't, you know, you protected your peace in that moment by walking away instead of cursing that person out, or giving them a piece of what they really deserved in that moment? How did you do that?
I tell you what, I wasn't always there. I'm gonna just be honest. I just got to put that out there. I wasn't always there where I was even good at that, or I even knew how to do that. There were a lot of years early on, I was going to be the first person to respond. I was going to be the first person to retaliate, that's for sure, because I've never been the kind of person that was shy away from speaking my mind or telling what I would say is my truth.
I got to say what's on my mind.
That's right.
I think that's my biggest problem. If something is bothering me, I got to say it. I have to say it.
Right. And I was that person. But then you learn. That's why I do believe that experience has a great weight of significance in a life, because experience does teach wisdom. And we talk about anointings, we talk about giftings and graces and callings and all of these wonderful things, and all of it has a place. But experience teaches wisdom, and wisdom safeguards the now and the next. It safeguards the future. Wisdom is one of God's choice mechanisms that safeguards what you got to protect now and what God is trying to entrust in you later. So experience taught me that some things are just not worth it. Sometimes retaliating and even trying to defend yourself or trying to get back, it's just not worth it, because again, going back to this construct of peace, it pulls you away from peace. It causes you to pour energy out or into something that you didn't necessarily have to. And that now becomes a tactic in which the devil can use that to deplete you. And so what happens is that with your love for people, your passion for people, and God knows I love God, I love people, but the truth of the matter is people can be a lot.
Yes.
People can...
Sorry, can you just say that again?
Yeah, people can be a lot.
Y'all are a lot. Y'all are just a lot, man. I like to be alone.
No, it's the truth. It's the truth. And that's why it's crazy. The conflict becomes that most people that God calls to leadership are people that they've learned to love people, but they are people that are not necessarily that willing right away to run into just like, all right, let me just go talk to everybody, greet everybody, hug everybody. So the conflict becomes you have to learn what it is to love God's people the way He loves them, still while knowing that they're a lot. But knowing that you have to then have boundaries. You have to have boundaries. You have to know when it's time for you to kind of, all right, pull that kind of, I want to say not even pull back, but pull the boundary in place when you're being depleted. When you know that it's encroaching upon your ability to be focused on your assignment, focused on your call, and to be effective at what it is that you do. Because again, there are souls and there are people accounting on the best version of you. And that in and of itself creates a pressure. The pressure to be, the pressure to perform is a real thing. And I'm not talking about performance in the negative connotation, but I'm talking about the pressure to be the best version of what God called you to be, or to be the best version of who you are based on what your life constitutes. So what I had to learn is, through experience, I had to learn that, again, I am not a superhero. I'm not a superhero. That is not my assignment. Our superhero is God. Our superhero is Jesus Christ. I'm not Him. But thankfully, I know Him. And that means that I don't have the answer to every problem. I have to learn how to delegate. I had to learn that. I had to learn how to get in contact and create a board of connectivities and networking people that I know that they specialize in certain areas. That person specializes in grief counseling. That person specializes in that kind of counseling or another type of counseling. And so you refer people too as well. But delegating, referring, knowing what is not your assignment, knowing what is not your area of expertise, what is not your grace, and just what is not something for you to have to indulge in, that's important. But it just comes over time. You learn, and it's trial and error, because sometimes you're trying to be all things to all people at the same time, and you'll find that you will fail miserably. Sometimes you'll find that people will take every single ounce of what you poured into them and still end up slapping you in the face, still end up betraying you, still end up talking about you like a dog. So guess what? You know, you just have to take the L. You have to take the L and learn from it. Because I often say that every leave is not a loss, and every loss is not a loss, because a leave is a lesson, a loss is a lesson. And I believe that when people leave, or when in a situation when you take a loss, it becomes a level, a new level that you actually mature into. So you just gotta learn from every experience and learn that you're just not a superhero. You're just not. And there's more of us are Clark Kent more than we are Superman.
Right. What does vulnerability look like for you as a leader? Again, like I said before, I don't think we got into where do you get poured into. I don't think we spoke too much into that. Where are your times of, you know, rest? You know, where you don't have to be anybody's pastor. You know, and are you safe enough to be vulnerable? You know, like whether that's in your house or in your home or, you know, wherever you have those like safe places where you can go to, because I think there's so much competition in the body of Christ where a lot of people are just operating as a lone rangers. Now, I think we have some people that operate on as lone rangers because they want to, but I think, you know, as we spoke back to the ship, I think a lot of people have been through a lot of things where it's just like, it's hard to trust everybody else. It's hard to, you know, lean and depend on people. So I'd rather be a lone ranger and just do what God has called me to. But now I have no place to be replenished. I have no spiritual covering. So what does vulnerability look like to you?
This is a very powerful question and a necessary question. I'm really loving this. One of the things that I would say that, number one, vulnerability, it does speak to safety. It does speak to safety. I love the fact that you connected that. It speaks to safety. If you don't feel safe, you will not be vulnerable. If a person doesn't feel safe, they will not be okay with being vulnerable. That's number one. So thankfully, home is definitely safe for me. I thank God for my wife, my children, that we have created and are creating actively a place of vulnerability where we don't have to be pastors at home. We don't have to be anybody's leaders per se at home. But what we are is we are encouragers to one another, safe places for one another. And I would say that thankfully I have really found a rhythm in my life of understanding what allows me to unwind and to be vulnerable. I'm big on unwinding. My wife will tell you that. I'm big on unwinding, like the times of unwinding. I unwind. I'm a movie buff, so I love a good movie. You know, if it's a good series, if it keeps my interest, I will get into that. Sports, watching sports, especially basketball, that is a place for me. I'm just like, I can take a deep breath and just watch and just objectively enjoy the sport. Also, just doing active things, because I do love going out. I do love doing fun things like bowling. I love playing sports. Obviously now, getting a little bit on the, you know, the wiser side of life. So, you know, I can't be as active in sports as I used to be and still do all of what I do. So I got to pick and choose my spots in wisdom. But that's where I find places to just unwind and to be poured into. I'm a reader, so that's the way I get poured into. And I also just enjoy traveling. I enjoy getting around and seeing the world, different parts of the world. That's another great place for me to get poured back into. Just taking in Mother Nature, taking in a different culture. It's nothing like it. It's nothing like it. But the safe spaces are important, especially from the angle of pastoring. Because in what we do, unfortunately, there's the good side, great side of ministry, but then there's also the bad side of ministry. And it becomes where it can be very much competitive. People, instead of collaborating, coming together, working together, it can become more of a competitive jealousy, comparative analysis kind of thing that's unhealthy, and that creates unsafe spaces, which is why you find a lot of people feeling like they gotta be pretentious.
Right.
They have to be fake, and they put on a look, and they put on armor that doesn't belong to them. But then secretly they're tormented, they're struggling, or they're depleted. So I would say for me, safe places at home, for sure. And I have people, covenant people in my life that provide safe places. Thank God he has provided that to me and revealed that to me, that there are people that definitely can handle my divinity and humanity at the same time and not dishonor either one. Right. And that's huge. And I think that a lot of people are in crisis because they don't really have that. They don't have enough of that.
I love that, because one thing you didn't say is church is your safe place. And I don't mean like your relationship with God is there, but church is not something that is like something that is that doesn't pour back into you, but you said things outside of church.
Right.
I think we keep running to the church sometimes to be like, well, I need to be replenished. But what do you as a human being like to do outside of that? You begin to speak about the call of being a pastor, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad.
Right.
Let's talk a little about, we're wrapping up, but let's talk a little about the bad part. Do you believe that sheep, the people that you pastor, really understand, and I'm not talking about your sheep, I'm talking about in general.
Yeah.
They understand the role of a pastor, especially when you are one who is pulled in so many different directions. And you're being called on pastor this, and they forget kind of that you're a human as well. Do you think the church really understands the call of a pastor, that you're a pastor, not a therapist?
Right.
You're a pastor, you're not everybody's confidant. You understand you're here to shepherd God's people, but not be their everything and more. Right. Speak a little on that. What do you think?
My short answer, and I'm going to say it's my short answer, and I'm going to give different responses as I expound on it. My short answer is no. I do not think that there is a full comprehensive understanding of what that really is. I don't think the sheep really all understand. I do think that there are sectors within, when we talk about the construct of the kingdom worldwide, that get it. I do think there's sectors that get it, and I do think that there are some that truly can maturely and objectively look at all of what a pastor has to carry, and they really move with a level of awareness, understanding, and things of that nature, compassion. But short answer is no, because I believe that I think you kind of have to pastor to really get it. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And so you won't really fully understand the weight of it until you until you sit in the seat of it. Yeah. And so in large part, I'm not even saying that it's their fault. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying that they might not get it because they haven't experienced it. So until you really experience it, it is something that you won't be able to really fully understand. Just like it would be unwise and unfair for me to speak to a mother, a woman that has born children, and try to act like I understand what being pregnant is, and try to act like as a man I understand what actually giving birth is. No, I would be out of pocket, because I have never carried a child. Right. I've never gone through the first trimester, second trimester, third trimester. I didn't have to get a C-section. I didn't have to have an emergency C-section. I didn't have to get induced into labor, right? I didn't have to push. I didn't have to. I saw it. I was in the space of it, but I did not do it myself. So that's my response. That's how I look at that question. And so in large part, it's not necessarily their fault, but I do believe that there are, thankfully, a pocket, a sector of the sheep that tries their best to really embrace the burden of the pastor and things of that nature. That they embrace the burden of the pastor. They embrace the burden of what it is to try to understand and wrap their heads around. My pastor is human too. You understand? And again, I cannot stress that enough. Your pastor has feelings. Your pastor is human. Your pastor has days where they doubt. Your pastor has days where they're afraid. Your pastor has days when they're not clear on what God is trying to say themselves. And they're trying to lean in and say, God, what do you want me to do? Like, why are you not talking the way you were talking in the last season? Your pastor has days where they're questioning themselves. Your pastor has days when they're trying to run away from the call. And I can't stress that enough. I hope people are really listening, and I hope people are really like capturing the essence of even this session on this wonderful podcast. Is that your pastor is all human just like you. They just have a call and a job and an assignment to fulfill. And so there are days when we drag ourselves to church, saying, Lord, why did you call me to this? There are days when we have to stand to preach and to minister, and there are times when we're still like, God, I'm preaching to this and I'm the encourager to that, but who is the encourager to me? I heard Bishop S.Y. Younger recently. He gave a word at a conference, and he said, and the title of the word was The Wounded Healer. The Wounded Healer. And the fact that pastors are called to be healers even while we're wounded ourselves. Elisha got sick. The Bible says Elisha got sick. And the Bible says he got sick and died. God didn't heal the prophet. He got sick and died, yet God used him to heal others and to raise other people that died, their children from the dead. God used him miraculously in all of those facets. But the Bible says Elisha got sick and died. And they buried him. They entombed the bones were buried. And the Bible says that there was, and I'm just kind of skipping across the field because of time. The Bible says there was a time when there was another soldier that died in the army, and they took his dead body and they threw it in the grave with Elisha's bones. And that soldier that died came back alive because the anointing, the grace, the mantle of what was on Elisha was still active even in the grave. That is the ministry that we're called to. That is the assignment of pastoring. Is that there are times when we're going through ourselves and God might not necessarily do it for us, but our bones will bring healing to somebody else. Our story, our journey will bring healing to somebody else. And I don't think too many really understand the essence of that and show grace where it's necessary.
We could talk about this a whole lot more. This is really good. Closing to any leader out there, preacher's kid, minister, what is one thing you want to leave with them about balancing the call?
I would say, I'll start off with number one. Find out who you really are. Be yourself. Be yourself.
We've been hearing that a lot.
Yeah, be yourself. Look at that. So that's a consistent and a powerful theme that I hope everybody's grabbing on that.
Yeah.
There's no better you than the you that you are going to find out the authentic, organic distinction of who you are, created in the image of God. God made the first you, the only you. And if you don't figure who that is, you're robbing the world of tremendous value. You're robbing all of us of meeting who you are. So that's number one. Find out who you are in God, and what makes you distinct, what makes you unique. We don't need another T.D. Jakes. As wonderful as he is, as awesome as he is, we don't need another Bishop S.Y. Younger. We don't need another Juanita Bynum. As wonderful as these people are, we need you. Yeah. We need the first you. Right. And all of what that means. So that's number one. And then finding you allows you then to also now see the areas, the elements of balance that you need to now prioritize within your life construct and what you got going on. Because you might be a multidimensional person, multifaceted person, multi-talented person. A different balance is necessary. When you have your hand in multiple things, a different level of balance is necessary. Some of us that pastor, that's not all of what we are. We're not just pastors. You're called to lead in the church, or called to lead at some point in your life. You're a fivefold ministry gift. But you're not only a prophet, you're not only an apostle, you're not only a bishop or a worship leader, no, there's so much more to you than meets the eye. So balance means finding out who you are first. That's why I said that first, because if all you are and if all you're gonna make yourself into is somebody's pastor, you're gonna already be out of balance, because then you don't know who you are without the title, right? Without that role. Mm-hmm. Who are you stripped of your title and stripped of your calling? Who are you? Mm-hmm. That's where you're going to find the greatest balance. Because if I don't know who I am outside of pastoring, then I won't know how to balance whatever it is that I am outside of the call. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where you see a lot of pastors struggling too. So by the time they get to their actual assignment, they're bitter. Yeah. They're angry. Yeah. And they do it with that bitterness. They do it with that weight that is not God ordained. It's not godly burdens. It's a weight of life, or it's a demonic burden. Mm-hmm. So finding out who you are, and then from there you're able to balance yourself. Home is first. Family, you got to put that at the top, because the reason why our society is where it is right now, and we see a lot of brokenness, and we see a lot of the things that we see, the toxicity we see, is because that came from something that spewed from out of the home construct. The family, a healthy man will produce a healthy marriage with a healthy woman, and a healthy marriage will produce healthy children. Healthy family construct that produces healthy children will produce healthy ministries, societies, communities, right? Yeah. And then we'll have a healthier society at large.
Now, listen, like I said, we've been hearing it a lot. It all starts with us. Yeah. And that's what this place is about. Breaking stereotypes, but also breaking curses and healing out loud. Starting that first work over with us, right, before we can do anything for anybody else. Forgetting about the pressure, the expectations, putting all of that to the side, and to focus on yourself. Mm-hmm. Let the people know where they can find you on social media and what you have coming up.
Well, you can find me on Facebook or Instagram. If it's Facebook, either Matthew McKie or Matthew McKie Ministries. You can find me there. You can find all of my upcoming ministry engagements and assignments on that page as well as my website. You can look me up there, Matthew McKie Ministries. It'll come right on up. And obviously, I pastor here in Brooklyn, Holy Love Outreach Ministries. So you can find me there as well. Instagram is just Reverend Matthew McKie. But we have a lot of upcoming things, some of which I can't even remember right now, to be honest. But if you hit me up on any one of those social media outlets, you'll definitely find the upcoming events. A lot of speaking assignments coming up. We have Convocation coming up here in Brooklyn, as well as a bevy of other different events. Momentum Momentum Prayer and Prophetic Gathering 2026 is coming up in January. So that's going to be next year, top of the year, the very last weekend, the 29th, the 30th, and the 31st, if my memory serves me correctly with the dates. That gathering, we started it this year, and next year's gathering will be the very second one of those gatherings. It's a powerful prophetic gathering that is meant to literally awaken things that are dormant in people, to unlock possibilities, unlock the purposes that God has put you in the earth for. And I really believe that heaven is going to meet us again in this conference. I believe that eternity is going to be revealed, and God is going to unlock everything that he has ordained for your life. That gathering is a gathering that speaks exactly to that.
Well, you guys heard it from him himself. Listen, look him up, support him however you can. And this was episode 7, Balancing the Call. See you every other week for Preacher's Kid Podcast. See you later.